If you're looking for a really fun airplane for Microsoft Flight Simulator, you're in the right place. This is the F-14 Tomcat by DC Designs, and this is a preview video of the F-14 by myself, a professional pilot. The F-14 comes with two variants, the F-14A and the F-14B. The engines on the A model have 20,900 pounds of thrust each, the B model 23,400 pounds of thrust, each helping the airplane reach a maximum of Mach 2.34. The first thing I wanted to see with this airplane is the afterburner effect. The effects are great, and you can even see the reflection on the runway. Almost all of the switches inside the cockpit work, with the exception of some that are limited by the simulator. The F-14 is very agile at pretty much any speed, but it's especially agile at low altitudes and high speeds. And so far, that's one of my most favorite places to fly this thing. Characteristics of the airplane during takeoff and landing are good. A lot of airplanes, as many of you know, they are very squirrely, which is not a technical term, on the ground, but this thing was super easy to control for takeoff and landing. And you can see how narrow this runway is, and I had no problem staying on the runway, but also maintaining center line and doing so with very little effort. And it also takes very little effort to land the airplane. Slowing down was not difficult with a little bit of speed management early on. But as we enter the flare, the airplane does like to float. And once we touch down, the airplane maintains directional control quite well. And braking effectiveness is good. And we'll skip the stopping part because I'm sure you've all seen an airplane come to a stop. The airplane also has a heads-up display that shows airspeed, altitude, heading, and also speed and angle of attack and G-force information. You can also adjust the brightness of the heads-up display. The F-14 also has wing sweep. It's automatic, but it can also be set manually. As the airplane climbs and slows down, you can see the sweep angle decreasing, and that's done automatically by the central air data computer. And as the airplane slows down, the wings will go to this position. The textures and interior lighting of the airplane are pretty good all the way around. Here we have the cockpit at nighttime, and you can easily read placards and see all the switches and labels clearly. And also, if you decide you want to control the wing sweep manually, look down to the left side, you can see the throttles. To the right of the throttles is the switch to control the wing sweep manually. And below and to the left of that lever, we have Autopilot Controls. And this autopilot will fly headings and hold altitude, with a few more little features over on the other side. And they're hard to read from this angle, but you can set a speed. It has auto throttles. You can select an altitude, and you can also select a vertical speed to get to that altitude with. And as far as the avionics are concerned, you can navigate with a VOR. You can also switch sources to ILS and do ILS approaches. So far, there's no GPS. I don't know if they have plans to add one. In the literature I have, I did not see anything about a GPS. And one thing that I did notice when changing the course knob, if you look up and to the right where the RMI is, you can see those needles moving. Those should not be moving with that course knob. Those are going to point to a VOR or an NDB. And another thing to point out, the cockpit textures, they're so-so. They're not horrible, but they're not great. They could be better. You can also see the comm and nav radio to the right of the RMI. They're hard to read in the sunlight when the light's shining on them because of all the scratches. They could be made a little bit clearer and easier to read. But to be 100% honest, even in a real airplane, when the sun shines on an instrument like that, they can be hard to read. But also keep in mind, this is a preview and not a finished product. Also, the lower screen can be kind of hard to read, but you can make the joystick go away by clicking it, and then you can easily read the screen. Another thing that they have built into this F-14 model is compressor stalls. I tried hard to create a compressor stall, and I eventually did it. And then I tried to get the airplane into a flat spin, which I could not really do. I got it to spin a little bit, but that's definitely not a flat spin like Goose experienced in Top Gun. But you can see there the left engine did flame out. One thing I think anybody that buys this airplane is going to do is this: low altitude, high speed flying. As I said earlier, the airplane's very agile and it makes low altitude and high speed flying around terrain very easy. And this is what makes this airplane really fun, is being able to fly around terrain like this. Think of doing this in the Extra 330. That thing's a lot harder to fly. This is a dream to fly compared to that. This is like the Extra 330 on steroids, but without the roid rage. And you can probably guess that the big fire-breathing engines, this airplane has an impressive climb rate. We went from flying over terrain at low altitude to 30,000 feet at the end of this clip in under 1 minute. And here we are skipping ahead, rolling wings level at approximately 30,000 feet in full burner, and the airplane is still very maneuverable even at these high altitudes. Now let's do a little bit of VR flying. These are some of the highlights I did. I did a VR flight for about an hour and just recorded, and then I edited out the bad parts and left in the cool parts. And apologies for the cursor just off the middle of the screen. When I was watching this through the VR, that cursor was not there. Had I known it was there, I would have moved it so you guys wouldn't have had to stare at it, because everybody's probably going to be staring at it now that I'm talking about it. And another important thing, somebody's going to ask about it, or I'm sure everybody's wondering, because you can see there is a tail hook. Does it work? It does, but it does not work fully with the aircraft carrier that's out, that's payware right now. From what I've read, when Asobo comes out with the F18 and the aircraft carrier for the Top Gun expansion, this will be changed and made fully functional with that aircraft carrier. You're probably also wondering, when can I buy this airplane? Currently, the release date is August 19th. And it will be available on the Just Flight website first, and then the marketplace. The aircraft is going to cost $34.99, and that is in US dollars. So that's all I have. Stick around for about the next minute 15 to minute 30 seconds. You can see more VR clips or some more fun flying. And also, don't forget to say hi to Mr. Rogers. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, thumbs up, notification, whatever they tell you to click nowadays. I'm going to be starting a series on the basics of flying, so what a student pilot would experience, such as maneuvers and procedures. I'm going to get into all that. I used to teach aviation. I was a flight instructor a little over 20 years ago, and I'm still a professional pilot. But I'm going to use Microsoft Flight Simulator to show new pilots and flight simulator enthusiasts what it would be like to become a pilot and to have a deeper understanding of all things aviation. And that's the Mr. Rogers I was talking about. And another thing to add, if you like F-14s and you like VR, this airplane is a must. This is an absolute blast in virtual reality.